Hello, everybody. It's BFS Live, episode 101. It is Wednesday, August 6th, 2025, and we're here with Nick Brandreth.
Hello.
How you doing, Nick?
What's up, man? I'm doing good.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be here.
Awesome. It's been a minute. I feel like it's been a minute since I've had an in-studio guest because I did a bunch of digital shows, and last week I was flying solo. And I feel like we've talked about this a lot. We're making it happen.
Yeah, for sure. In the Foam Pit Studio.
The Foam Pit Studio, yeah. Yeah, I got no new info to add about anything else going on with the skate park. If you're interested in what's going on, listen to the last episode, 100, where we recapped all previous episodes and talked about what we're doing in the future and talked about some new merch and all this blah, 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 blah. Before we do anything, I will just say, if you want to support the podcast and the skate park, you can grab us on Patreon. $5 a month is as little as you can give, or you can give as much as $150 a month. And it really helps in these summer months because it's finally caught up to me, as the summer months do, and now I'm below having enough money for next month's rent ahead of time. So now I have to make the money this month. So
the joys of owning a skate park.
Yeah. And I got, money came in this week for summer camp, then a week off, and then another week of summer camp, which, so that those two summer camps are about $6,000-ish in income. So
nice.
That covers, about half the rent. Well, more than half, but maybe about half the expenses. But I digress. Nick Brandreth. Why don't you give me your 2 minutes? Who are you, and what is your relationship as it would be tangential to action sports, if at all?
Well, my name's Nick Brandreth. I live here in Rochester. I ride mountain bikes now primarily. Dave and I ride trails all the time. But originally, my background in action sports is in like freestyle mountain biking, like 26-inch and 24s at certain points in time. But, the freestyle mountain bike, street, park, dirt jumping, things like that. And I know they're more popular now, and I think, but when I was kind of doing it, it was at the very beginning of when that, it was kind of, you're not really riding BMX, but you're riding BMX, but you're on this big bike, and I came from that era, the early 2000s, when it was really starting to become more popular and more people were getting into it. And I did a lot of photography, so shot for a bunch of magazines, shot for Decline, things like that. And I ran this website with a group of buddies. It was Thrash Bike. It started out, my friend Mark had this forum and website called NJ Dirt, and I became friends with those guys. And then we rode, and we would try to make, this was before like online content and blogs are really a thing. We tried to make NJ Dirt kind of like, maybe it was an online magazine, like creating content, but like just on a website. There was no social media.
What year was this?
This is probably like 05 to 09, 08. So I think Thrash Bike kind of became more of a thing in 08, 09, I want to say, when I was still kind of in college. 39 this year.
Oh, so
yeah,
you're a year older than me. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is right out of high school you're doing this?
College, yeah.
You would have graduated in 04.
Yep,
okay.
Yeah. So I got heavy into like that freestyle mountain biking my like sophomore year in college. And then, did it pretty much up until I moved back to Rochester in 2012. And I kind of, I broke my face at Lakewood Skate Park, broke my wrist, broke my face. And then I moved back up here to work at the Eastman Museum. And I kind of started getting away from that a little bit more. And then I found trail riding, and that, I've just been addicted to that ever since. It still scratches the same itch, and as you get older, you slow down a little bit, and not in the sense what some people do. You can still push yourself, which I still like to do, but, I got a job, I got a family to take care of. So my priorities are a little different than when I was 20, and it was just full send.
And when did you move to Rochester?
2012, but I went to RIT from 04 to 08. So I had made friends. I started riding mountain bikes in college. And, had some buddies who's from around here, and, so it was easy to move back up here.
Why'd you go to RIT?
I studied photography.
Because RIT was the big photo school.
Yeah, it still is. I work over there now, so it's cool to be a part of that again in a different capacity. But But yeah, RIT was the photo school, and so I moved up here to study photography. Moved back home to New Jersey, and I worked as a freelance photographer. Assisting. I worked for Mercedes-Benz and the Wall Street Journal and a handful of other publications. But I did everything. I worked as a photo assistant. Anything that I could do in that industry to make money and try to learn stuff, I did. And then I got an opportunity to move back to Rochester to work at the Eastman Museum and be an apprentice for this fellow named Mark Osterman, who is a the process historian at the museum. So I learned I had a background in chemical photography from school. I learned really like the depths of like historic and alternative process photography, and I taught workshops there for about 10 years. But all the while, still riding and doing all that stuff, because bicycles have been my first love ever since I was a little kid. That's all, once I started being able to roll on that bike, that's all I want to do. Still to this day.
Awesome. I think it's worth pointing out, because not all of our listeners are going to be Rochester-centric, that George Eastman is the founder of Kodak.
Yep.
And Kodak is from Rochester.
Indeed.
The Eastman, now it's called the Eastman Museum. They used to call it just the Eastman House, right? The George Eastman House.
Yeah, it's gone through iterations.
It's literally like if you pulled out of the skate park and went, I don't know, 1,500 feet down University Avenue. It's literally right there.
Yeah.
A huge piece of history. So I want to come back to the photo stuff later, because my background was photo as well. So this is all really cool. But we're going to keep talking about bikes a little bit here. And the one thing I really like about you is you weave this thread between it's like mechanical but artistic, right? You're like totally an artist. And I don't actually believe art exists, but that's a different conversation. But you're an artist. I think artists exist. I don't necessarily believe that art exists. And just the way you are an artist, right? But also you're like this bike guy. It's like the bikes, and you do some competitive shooting. Like you're very I just feel like you don't often see people who are very you're both creative and artistic, but also masculine and mechanical.
For sure.
And it's just not common. So I'm always super fascinated whatever you're into, because it's always eccentric. But then you hit it with this like crazy dude-centric, data-driven, I'm going to master this, I'm going to figure this out. You're doing your radio thing right now.
Yeah, whenever I set my mind to something, I can be good at it. And I don't say that, I don't try to be cocky. A lot of people can do that, but a lot of things are mechanical skills. And if you just have the drive and the desire to just, hey, I'm going to be good at this. Most people, you want to learn how to draw, you can learn how to draw. It's not hard to do. Having that spark, though, that extra little bit makes a difference. I can teach anybody how to take a picture with a camera and make a nice picture, but like to have that creative tinge, anybody can make a great picture once, but to make a body of work, and I try to apply that to everything that I do, and I try to get good at it, and then how can I add that spark to it?
Dude, 100%. I love photo because I looked at it very, very mechanically. It was very especially when you're shooting action sports, shutter as high as you could possibly get it, unless there's a reason not to. ISO as low as you can get it, but flashes turned up, but you don't want to eat up your batteries. So you literally have this how can I get all these variables together to achieve the look I want in the shot, but not buy a billion AA batteries or whatever, right? And I don't have the artistic side of the shooting. I'm very mechanical. I can't do portraits. I wasn't good working with people. I could do product photography because that's very dry.
Sure.
You've done all kinds of photo projects. I actually have a glass plate print from the
Seeing Shadows.
The Seeing Shadows series thing you did.
Yep.
When we were out you had Nate and I in these costumes, and you were taking these kind of spooky pictures, and I'm a photo guy too. But then you're like, wait, stop. This is the spot. And I'm like, this looks like every other spot. And he goes, stand here. And then okay, and then he takes a picture. I'm like, I got goosebumps. I literally have goosebumps. Look at this.
Yeah.
Because it's like your mind does a thing that not everyone can do. That's the artist side of it. And I have such an appreciation for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And, I don't know. It's just in there, and I try to use it to my advantage whenever I can. But I don't know. That's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
Some people can look at a piano and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Some people can look at a math problem and that makes sense. I can see light and, you know, angles and perspective and say, oh, there it is. That's just what clicks in my brain. And it's funny, those pictures ended up turning into a short film, which turned into a feature-length film, which now we just made our second feature-length film last September, so it was kind of fun. Shout out to my buddy Dan Bowers, who I am friends with through riding mountain bikes, you know, making these movies together.
Tell the people what that is and
So
where
the
they can
first
find
movie,
it if they want to.
if you want to see the first movie, it's called Blue Hour: The Disappearance of Nick Brandreth, and it's a fictional version of me. And my daughter's doing a true crime documentary to figure out what happened to me because I disappeared in 1997. And the second feature that we just finished is called Beyond the Drumlins, and it's not available anywhere yet. Blue Hour is on Amazon. It's $4.99, I think. But you can also watch it for free on Tubi and Comcast and a handful of other places. And then the Drumlins, hopefully, my buddy Dan, he's a absolute animal and handled pretty much all of post-production by himself with the help of a few other people. Shipped it off to the distributor last Friday, so it's doing some festival runs right now, and then hopefully we'll have it available somewhere where people can see that. And it's about an archaeology professor who's getting a dig site ready for the upcoming semester, and they find some stuff in the woods, and it doesn't work out well for them.
Because drumlins are the rolling hills that are common in this area from glacial flooding,
Exactly.
correct? Yes. A little geology there.
Right? Yeah. No.
Actually, Nate, our buddy Nate, he's a degree in geology.
Oh, really?
He doesn't work in geology, but
He knows it. He knows it.
this is a total tangent thing. Have you ever seen that Randall Carlson stuff?
No.
This is totally left field, but we're going to roll with it. He got fairly well known from being on Rogan a few times.
Okay.
And he's like this super dry geologist from Minnesota. And he's all about the younger, driest impact hypothesis. That basically, if you look at the ice core samples in the younger, driest, there was this period of heating and then cooling and then heating, which suggests there was like 2 impacts over a 10,000 year window, something like that. And the drumlins that are in this region, he suspects, as well as many other geological features in North America, are from this massive flood. So, like, basically,
hit the ice sheet, right?
Yeah, like the ice sheet. Now they believe it wasn't one impact; it was multiple impacts, like a breaking up of a comet,
Okay.
and then just massive flooding. That's just like, and then obviously the flood myth is prevalent in all many religions.
For sure.
His stuff is really, really interesting. His like origin story is he was at like a music festival and he was like, I think he was on like mushrooms or something, and he was looking, I think, at the not the Mississippi River. What's the other big one up there that goes into the Mississippi? Is it the Missouri? Well, he said basically the river is in this like, here's the river, and the river is in the middle of this like 15-mile wide like valley gorge that looks like it would have been like a 15-mile wide river, and he's sitting there and he's all stoned and he's going, whoa, dude. So
I love
he starts
those
doing
moments.
like the math, like, okay, just like the drumlins, he's like, well, these look like the ripples you see in water. So based on the size of them, you can calculate the velocity of water and then how high the water would have been. And then he's like, okay, so if this was true, there would have been 100 feet of water rushing over all of North America.
Oh my goodness.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, no, that's pretty wild. But yeah, that's the second movie we've made, and but it has to do, and it's fun. Like we were a little worried people wouldn't, like, what's a drumlin? Is that like a gremlin?
Yeah.
But no, we stuck with it, and it's cool. It's exciting to do that stuff, but like photography, taking my projects and trying to push everything to the next level and just go as far as we sort of can with it. It's neat because, and little things, it's what stuff rolls into other stuff. So, one creative project flows into another creative project, and, everything sort of influences everything that I do.
So did you start, like, was your interest in photo predate, oh my God, was your interest in photography there before you got into biking? Did they come hand in hand, or like, what's the relationship there?
I think, it was probably like, again, as like a teenager, again, you could get a VHS tape of a BMX movie, right? You go to the bike shop and maybe they had one there that you can get, or you had a magazine. The websites weren't really there yet. And again, this is early, like, late 90s, early 2000s. I always rode bicycles, but then I want to say maybe around like 6th or 7th grade, like, oh, BMX, that's cool. I want a BMX bike. Let's ride BMX, get some pegs and go grind on stuff. But it was just what you saw in a magazine. So it's like, I guess this is how a feeble grind works. And then websites were kind of a thing, because I remember bmxtricks.com or something was a thing, and like they had like people wrote descriptions on like a geosite page of like how to do a feeble grind, how to do a smith, what a can was. And I remember reading these, I'm like, oh, we could try and do a trick, like so I think they kind of evolved at the same time. Like around 7th grade, I took a media arts class, and here's a video camera, Nick. You can go record things. So I was like, you could take it home and film my friends doing bike tricks.
Dude, let's go.
And so it all kind of evolved together, and I really like movies and making video and stuff like that. So again, making the movies has always been a thing I've been interested in. But photography really took hold, like, freshman year of high school. And then it was like, yeah, I can shoot pictures of my friends doing this stuff, but then there's all these other things to take pictures of as well. So yeah, they kind of grew at the same time. And then I would say like my junior, senior of high school, I wasn't really riding BMX or doing any of that stuff as much. I was really focused I wrestled in high school, so I was really focused on that. And then when I got to college, I was on the team for, I had the varsity spot, and then I quit 2 hours before the first tournament because I was like, I'm over this. I don't want to do it anymore. And then when I was in college, I found riding again, and nonstop. But riding a bike has always been my first love. Just going and pedaling around the street.
So in college, you started with the 26, or were you on the 26-inch wheel bike prior to the college?
No, in high school, I had a BMX bike. And then, what was I going to say? But when I was in college, I ended up buying, it was a Harrow Zero. And so that was like the first like freestyle mountain bike. I was like, that's cool. I want to try that. A little bit bigger than a BMX bike, because BMX bikes do feel kind of tiny, but I just liked it. It was cool. I feel like you could monster truck over stuff easier, and then it sort of evolved from there. I started to find the subculture a little bit more, and some of the 24-inch frames. There was companies in Europe that were making cool frames. I think DMR was one of them. Brooklyn Machine Works made a 24-inch frame, and then Black Market was one of that was the big thing at
they
the
were
time.
S&M.
Yeah. And then I started making friends through that. That's how I met Al, my friend Adam Hauk. I just met all these people, and then we had like a little scene. It's just sort of like, I want to say like 2008. It started to come together, and there was a cool thing happening. We grew up in northern New Jersey, New York City, so that whole sort of region, there was a lot. We would find people to do that, and we'd say, all right, cool. And then we had that Thrash Bike website, and then we started making contests. So we had some contests at the Brooklyn Banks, and we would have people that would travel. We had people come over from England and crash with us, and to come ride our contest at the Brooklyn Banks. And we would do like a group ride the night before and just go mob through the city. And then we'd have the contest during the day, and then give out like a cash prize. We get swag from companies who'd want to throw stuff down, and then we'd have a party in the city. We did it like 3 or 4 years in a row. It was great. And then I would take pictures and write an article and get it in the magazine and stuff like that. So we had this whole little ecosphere of stuff going on pre-social media. And then social media happened, and we all kind of, how life goes when you're into that kind of stuff, and everybody kind of starts to go their own directions and stuff like that. We're still tight with everybody, but life happens, But it was neat in that moment.
And that's cool because the Brooklyn Banks just reopened.
I know, it's cool.
It's really, really cool. I would love to go to Lower Manhattan and get at least one more session on the Banks,
Right?
One day. It's tough being pushing 40 and having kids and a business and a house and everything, and being 5 hours away, because you can't just go into New York City briefly. It's a whole process,
For sure.
But man, the amount of, dude.
So many times. And we both grew up in New Jersey, so it was like if you didn't drive in, you take the train in.
We always took the Staten Island ferry into New York City. One of my favorite BMX stories I ever had is we were at Sayreville Skate Park, that's in Central Jersey. That was the local. And I was with a couple people, and then, I work till 8 at the bike shop. Then we get to the skate park. So, and the lights turned off at 10, and we're still there. And we're like, yo, let's go to the city. What do you mean? It's like 10 o'clock at night. We're like, no, let's go. Okay. So we left, maybe we left one of our cars, 2 of the cars there. We drove, to get from Sayreville into Staten Island is fairly brief. Then you drive all the way through Staten Island. The Staten Island ferry is free and brings you from Staten Island to the tip of Lower Manhattan. And then off we went. And man, we were in Lower Manhattan till like 6 a.m. Like we were on, as the Staten Island ferry was coming, bringing like the first wave of the 5:30, 6 a.m. zombie getting off the ferry going to your Lower Manhattan financial jobs. Here's these like scrappy BMX dudes who've been up all night waiting to go.
Dirty, smell like city scum.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just rolling around in the streets.
And just like riding around Lower Manhattan all night. There's no one around. It's like, it's crazy. Like I tell the kids all the time, go to the city.
Oh yeah.
Just park somewhere, take a train in, whatever, and just ride around. Like you don't understand. The buildings are as high as you can see. They go as far as you can see. It is not like any other place in the world. It's not like being in the city up here, and just like Lower Manhattan in the financial district outside of business hours is like this weird.
Because there's nobody there.
Yeah, it feels like you're in a zombie movie because it's like it's the most densely populated place in the world, but there's nobody there at the same time.
Right. And you have free reign of the street to do whatever you want. You can hit anything. Riding the city in the fall. There's something about the fall specifically where it's cooler at night. Maybe it was hot during the day, but the city holds its heat in, so it doesn't always cool off. Yeah. But I don't know, that crisp fall air riding through the city at night, it was just the best. The lights.
I could smell it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can smell Lower Manhattan. It smelled different than Philly. There's a smell.
Asphalt, hobo pee, halal food.
How about this one?
Exhaust.
This is a deep cut. It's later in the evening. You've been riding the city all day, and you're sitting down, and the heat is radiating off the pavement or the sidewalk you're sitting on, but the air is much cooler. There's like a soreness you have,
Yeah, dude.
Dude, my youth. My youth.
And I love to start, ride all the way down, Broadway, start at, Highbridge Park. We'd ride the dirt jumps, and then we'd ride all the way down to the banks, just through traffic. And it was it's the same thrill of riding the trails now, speeding through the trees, but everything's moving. It's like the forest, like a trail that's alive, and you have to not hit pedestrians or cars or other bike riders.
And your one buddy grabs a hold of a bus, and then you're like, now I got to grab a hold of a vehicle to pull me up the next couple blocks.
I watched Adam Howe in traffic. We were riding the night before the contest, and we had all these French-Canadian guys down with us. And the Jersey barrier was coming up along the right, and he was the taxi cab here, and he didn't have anywhere to go. So he leaned back at speed and, rode on the hood of the car until he had a chance to get off, and then, pushed himself off with the bike and kept going. It was insane. So, yeah, you can't... If you have the chance to do it, go and do it.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah. Chinatown Banks.
Oh, yeah.
LES skate park before it was actually a skate park.
Yep.
Oh, dude. The rats, the giant rats.
Classic.
There was New York City before there was any skate parks in New York City. There was the Chelsea Pier one that's been around forever, but they never allowed bikes.
Nope.
And just as I was moving out up here, there were starting to be little skate parks popping up in Brooklyn.
Yeah. And I think at that period of time, especially in BMX, because it was so closely related. I was riding a mountain bike, a dirt jump bike, but we were hanging out. We hung out with BMX guys. We hung out with fixed gear guys. We rode with everybody. And that time period, the early 2000s, and New York City, that was the spot. It's street riding was getting pushed to different levels with the animal dudes and all that stuff, and just the whole scene was just cool to be a part of. Especially even the fixed gear stuff, the fixed gear freestyle, which I wouldn't ride that, but it was just cool to be a part of it and seeing it become its own thing. They would show up, some of those dudes would show up to the contest and ride too. It was rad.
Yeah, and then eventually it kind of switched, at least in the BMX world, it switched to Philly as you got more towards the later early 2000s, you got to like 2010. It was like BMX was very Philly centric.
For sure.
And then from there, it went out to like Long Beach, California, then Austin, Texas, and the East Coast was left in the dust. But
Yeah.
those are the good old days. I spent way more time riding Philly than New York City, but I'm still very fond of New York City.
Yeah. No, they had their elements.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to my buddy, the kid who introduced me to BMX, and maybe one day I can get him on the show. He's having a rough go of it right now, but we were talking about some of our early trips. You know, we were still in high school, so it must have been 2004, maybe 3, and we had a Chevy. He had a Chevy Lumina because he was the first one to get his license, and Tom, myself, and this kid Nick, we got in his car and we went to Philly, Baltimore, DC, Richmond, Raleigh, Atlanta.
Oh, it's awesome.
And thinking back, again, I was talking to Tom this week and being like, I know we did that. How did we do that? In the current landscape with the smartphone. Like, this is 2004. We didn't have smartphones.
You need a map.
We were like 16, 17 years old, going across the country. I don't know if we printed out MapQuest directions. We would get to a city with no context, no nothing. We would just park somewhere, remember where we parked, spend the entire day riding around the city just looking for spots, you know, with maybe a tube in our backpack and a pump or
Right.
something, right? And then be like, oh, we'll sleep in the car, or we'll figure it out later. It's so crazy.
Like land pirates. Which,
right?
yeah.
I remember growing up, and my dad had crazy stories. Like, he hitchhiked across the country. He tried to do it a second time, but he got derailed, and he had all these, just ridiculous things. And I always thought, there's no way I'd have stories like my father, right? Meanwhile, I'm like doing all this stuff, not thinking, because we just did it. You know, we rode bikes, we went on trips. You want to go here? Sure. Oh, there's a video premiere there. You want to go to that one? Sure. You know? And then I look back and I'm like, man, I did some stuff.
Right.
Like I can't believe we did, and then I feel like a lot of kids, especially with the phones, kids are not going out and doing that anymore. They just go. I tell the kids, just go.
But it's like, I think, and again, I don't want to sound like the old guy yelling at the sky. It's just so easy to sit at home. You have to compete with people's comfort zones now. It's like, why would I go out and do that when I could just sit here and watch someone do it on YouTube? But it's like, you go live that experience. Any chance that you get, like, just go for it.
And now that I'm thinking about it, 'cause I was just thinking, for us up here in Rochester, going to Toronto is probably easier than going to New York City.
Yeah, for sure.
And I remember when I first moved here 13 years ago, we would go to Toronto to ride with some of the BMX Foo guys, and our phones wouldn't work in Canada, or you would get charged like roaming fees.
Yeah.
So you turned your phone off. And now I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh man, those couple like weekend trips I would take to Toronto, it was like a time capsule. I got to shut my phone off and just like whatever. Like, we had the video camera, but you only turned your phone on if you were on Wi-Fi, you know?
Well, we went up, speaking of riding in Canada, I went to, there was again, we had our sort of Jersey thrash bike scene up in Eastern Canada. There was the Doberman team at that point in time. I think they've become the Rise now, if people are still into freestyle, like dirt jump style bikes. So the Rise crew. These guys, I went up there to do like a photo story for Decline on the sort of riding scene there in Canada, and we went up to Montreal from New Jersey. And again, no smartphone. Maybe we had a BlackBerry at that point in time, so you could text, but it wasn't. There was no Google Map like that.
Yeah,
you just had the GPS in the car. Hope for the best, right? And we're driving through the Adirondacks. And we're driving, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm used to driving to Rochester. We're on the thruway. There's usually rest stops and stuff like that. Not as many when you're heading up to Montreal through the Adirondacks.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're going to run out of gas, bro. And I'm like, and then I just go to the GPS. I'm like, I hope this gas station, like, let's hope for the best. And so we pull off the road as we're getting there. We're near the Canadian border, and we're just going through these back roads trying to find this town. Hopefully there's a gas station there, not tapping my brakes, so I'm not wasting gas, stuff like that. And I see these two guys, and I'm like, hey, is there a gas station? Like, and the guys were like, oh, I'm not from around here. I'm like, what do you mean you're not from around? I'm like, dude, I'm going to run out of gas. And he's like, oh, yeah, just down the road. I'm like, were you not going to tell me there was a gas station here? But yeah, thinking about going on those cool trips without all the technology is neat. But having the technology now is cool for different reasons. And, good stuff on both sides of that.
Part of that is when you're young, you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Now you and I know the myriad of things that could go wrong
Right?
if you're just on your bike in a random city
Yeah.
miles from your car, right? When you're 16, 17, 18, maybe 25,
YOLO,
you don't
baby.
know. You literally, you're thinking of all the fun and how cool this could be. You're not thinking about what could go wrong.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I worry about what could go wrong all the time, but like you said, you're more conscious of it because now there's things to lose, you know?
Ain't that right, dude? I definitely lived like I had nothing to lose for a long time.
For sure.
Not in like a reckless way. It's just like I literally just didn't have anything to lose. I didn't realize that my youth and my like health, I guess, was the thing I could lose. I don't know, you know? Dude, just think of all those times you're just like late night ripping through the city, like kicking over whatever you can kick over, like side view mirrors, just all the hood rat teenage stuff I don't want people to know about when I run for office, you know?
Right. But in a way, like we do the Friday night rides, you know,
Yeah.
it still captures, to me, that
yeah.
same feeling and that same experience and stuff. When it's not like we're going to bed at like 10 o'clock either. We're still riding, you know,
Yeah.
we get home 10, 11 o'clock and doing that stuff. Sure. We might not be kicking over everything, but
Yeah, but now we're like, we're riding in a park we're not supposed to be in.
but no, it's still, and we still have those things, which is really fun. And
Yeah.
that's the best part about riding bikes. And my hope is that when I'm 60, 70 years old and I'm still riding my bike, you know, we're like, hey Dave, let's go do a skid in the parking lot.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about bikes, right? I love skateboarding. I do the skate park thing. That's my life. Skateboarding doesn't really digress well into easier versions of itself. Like, no matter what you do on a skateboard, a pebble can always ruin your day,
For
right?
sure.
On a bike, you can get to the point where you could literally be 90 years old, have a pedal assist bike, be on the canal, and you can still get the wind in your hair and like, I'm doing the thing, right?
I'm gonna have one of those trikes, bro. It's gonna be sick.
God, you could be paralyzed and still on a bike. Yeah.
Well, you've seen the people who, like, you know, they are paralyzed,
Yeah,
but they'll get
TJ.
out there on a mountain bike, you know, and they can ride the, you know, gravity trails on the bikes. I think that's awesome. But that's, like you said, that's the best part about it, is you can scale it to what you want. And, you know, I always say, I'm like, I love riding bikes, and I tell people, like, yeah, let's go ride. And sometimes it's, how do I say this? I think sometimes people were like, oh, I want to ride bikes too, but then they're like nervous or intimidated to ride because they're like, you do that crazy stuff. You like to ride fast. I'm like, yeah, but I can come down to your level.
Yeah.
I don't need you to come up to my level. I just like riding bikes with
of
my
course,
friends.
Yeah. And particular to our trail networks, they're small. And even if you pull away, there's like an intersection around the bend, and I'll wait for you. You know,
Yeah,
take
for
people
sure.
to that.
It's not like out west where you're just, you know, going.
Yeah. That's cool. Let's go back to photo stuff a little bit. So you had photos in Decline. That was a mountain bike magazine.
Two cover shots.
Cover shots.
Two
Wow.
of them. Yep. And I like to brag about the one cover shot. There's no one in the photograph. I got a cover shot, and it was of a brick wall. But the shot was my buddy doing like a bunny hop, like toboggan, like with the silhouette. So like the silhouette of the wall is the perfect toboggan, and there's like a couple other people like sitting on their bikes, and there's the long shadows up against the wall. It was I think it was a unique choice for a cover shot. It was pretty cool. But I shot for them, and it popped up in a few other places. I did a lot of other photography too. It wasn't just action sports.
Do you know what year and month that cover was?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can see. I have it. I'll take a picture of it and send it to you if you want to. You know, when it's not live.
I want to Google Decline magazine covers and see if I could find this thing.
I don't know.
Just about a quick image search. There it is. No. Well, Decline's been around for a long time, huh?
Yeah, but maybe if you type in my name too to go along with it.
Well, that would be too smart for that to work.
I don't know if it's still a magazine, but it was there for a minute.
Was it?
Brandreth.
Reth. Nick Brandreth.
There it is.
Oh, wow. That is pretty good.
Right?
What's the date? Oh, it's from your website.
Yeah, so
Oh, this is cheating.
it's my blog. It might not be on there anymore though.
Oh,
This is old.
2010, yeah. Blogs, you know it's Blogspot. I had a
Yeah.
Blogspot back then.
That was the move.
Nick Brandreth, the trip issue.
Yeah, that was when we did the trip up to Canada too. Where were we going?
So that's pretty cool, especially in the world of action sports. That the shot was just like a,
right.
no flashes, just
That.
for the sake of art. You
Yeah.
did the thing. That's beautiful.
And I had a lot of stuff where, I mean, I have so much stuff, and it's like if you go to my website, I don't have any of that on there, and it's almost funny. Like, I can tell who you are and like where you know me from, like depending on how you know who I am. Because there's some people who are like, if you say Nick Brandreth, they're like, oh, action sports photography. If you say Nick Brandreth, they're like, oh, dry plates and historic process stuff. Oh, oh, he makes movies. Oh, he does this other thing. Oh, I make art with him. I didn't know he did that. And I have like friends who know me now that they've never seen. I have whole bodies of work people have never seen, and like all my action sports stuff. And it's not that I'm against it. It's just that where my creative thought process is now, it doesn't really represent it. At some point it'd be cool to pop it up somewhere. But yeah, these just tons of stuff, and I love shooting natural light with action sports, but then never afraid to like hang flashes in trees and stuff like that. But yeah, it was cool. And then the thrash bike thing is, it was kind of like, if you build it, they will come. And because there was, I said, well, I have a camera. I'm good at doing this stuff. It was when we were doing a lot of stuff with the 5D Mark II, and that came out in like 2009. So I jumped on that really fast. And if you go to my Vimeo page, there's a Vimeo, and there's a lot of like bike stuff that I film, like thrash bike edits, web edits, and stuff like that.
So you did video as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And because I think at that point in time, like because of the 5D Mark II and where everything was, like you suddenly, if you did photography, you had to do video too. I think there was still a separation, and there still is. Like, some people are just photo people, some people are just video people, but for the most part, you're kind of doing a little bit of both. And I liked making movies. I liked motion picture, video, film, whatever we want to call it. I was always into that. But I still photography. There's just something, they're just different forms, and they each have their inherent thing that's awesome about them. But I tried to just let's make it. Let's make the content. There it is. And it's so funny that, like, if I was in that same spot 5 years later, then YouTube was more popular. Not that it was unpopular then, but it's not where it was. Everything was still in the infancy when we were trying to push that. And then I just decided, like, it's time to move on to the next thing. I had a little bit, maybe more to say than just like my friends flying through the air on their bike, and I love it. And there's nothing wrong with it. It was just my creative thought process has changed. I have one thing, I do it, and then, okay, now I have a different thing that's sort of influencing me and stuff like that. So it was just part of the flow.
Yeah, of course. Like you've been painting a bit too, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's my
gay.
I've always, like, ever since I was a little kid, I loved to draw, and I always draw. And then I found photography, and I think when I was a kid, like, I always say I wanted to be a cartoonist.
Okay.
But I didn't have the vocabulary to say I wanted to be an illustrator. And like, I liked cartoons and comic books because that's what was available, cartoons, to when I was a kid. And I didn't have. My parents weren't into illustration or things like that. So it's not like I had people around me like, here, look at this thing. Here, look at that thing. And again, the internet was still just beginning to become what it is today. So it wasn't like you can just go and just get all this influence and stuff like that. You had to go to a comic book store and seek out these certain things. And again, the technical aspect of photography, like, drawing's cool, but I tried to sign up for a drawing class in high school, and I ended up in mechanical drawing, so like a drafting class.
Oh, geez.
So I was like, well, this is lame, but actually this is really cool, and it taught me a lot about perspective and, mechanical things, and I was like, well, this is neat, and so I was kind of pumped on that, and the technical stuff became neat. And then I found photography and video, and I liked the computers and all that aspect of it. And it wasn't until maybe like 2020 actually, because COVID happened and I used the darkroom when I worked at the museum. So all my gear is there, and I got furloughed for 4 weeks, and we couldn't go into the museum because at the beginning of COVID, we were like, we don't know what to do yet. And my job was to bring people from around the world, right? Because I had people that would come from Europe and Asia and South America, Australia, India, China, Japan to come and take these workshops. It wasn't just like people in Rochester. People were making like a pilgrimage to come here. And having people travel from around the world and go into a room inside of a room at the beginning of the pandemic, they were like, you can't do this right now. So they said, you're furloughed for 4 weeks, which ended up being the best thing ever. Because at first, I was like, I've never been on unemployment. I've never, I'm like my mindset. I'm like, I don't want to be like this. But then I was like, wait a second, this is okay. A little break's not bad. And so I switched up my thought process, and I was like, this is like my COVID artist residency. But I was like, I can't do photography because all of I was making all my own photo material at that point in time. So all my chemistry, all my plates, I would keep my stuff there just because it was like I would go and shoot after work and then come in early before work and maybe process, or stay late after work, and process my own stuff. And so I was like, what can I do? And I was like, I got a pencil, I got a pen. And I asked myself, like, okay, if someone said, Nick, you could never do photography ever again in your life, what would you do? And I was like, I'd probably draw and paint. So I said, why don't I draw and paint? And I started to draw a lot during COVID, and I was like, this is a lot of fun. And I kind of put it away for a little bit because then the furlough got lifted and I got back to the darkroom stuff. And then my mother-in-law was like, I was just drawing, and she's like, you should try watercolor. These drawings are good. You should try watercolor. And I'm like, I should try watercolor. So I went down to the art supply store and I bought a set of watercolors, and I watched some YouTube videos and things like that. And I just started doing it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it makes sense because I'm like, I understand color, right? How to work with color. That's and crazy. Mix color. I don't know
if you guys go to Nick's Instagram and look at some of these paintings. To be like, I just watched a YouTube video and did that speaks to your obsession and your artistry, because that's incredible. Because they're like, I saw those and I was like, I was like, he must have some background in painting or something. Or they're so good.
When I went to RIT, it was trimesters. So I took 2 trimesters of 2D design and then 1 trimester of drawing, and that's the only like classical training I have in that. Photography, I took photo classes, but with the drawing and painting, I just started doing it. And like I said, because of photography, I understand perspective and the way light should work and things like that. Like, when you have your shadow side, it's not fully black and things like that, and this is how that should kind of look. And so I can understand light, and again, it's a mechanical thing.
Yeah.
And say, okay, well, this like that, and just figuring out the mechanics of how to use a brush once I kind of lock that down. And it's the type of thing, though, it's like, it's a skill that you'll always work towards. There's always I see people who are better and like, damn, I can be like that. But it's just practice, right? If you want to get good at, you like disc golf, if you want to get good at throwing it, you got to just practice.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And good practice, not just shitty practice, but good practice, right? Practice throwing that thing. And so I still do it till this day. I haven't been doing it as much because my interest is kind of shifted a little bit, but I get it in weekly. I try to draw for an hour every day. Not as much lately, especially this summer, as I've been doing other stuff. I've been traveling a lot, playing with the radios and things, but I still always try to sit down and I draw for an hour if I could. And when I first was really getting back into it, I'd probably draw for 2 or 3 hours a night. I'd come home, I'd go for a ride, make dinner for my wife, and then I'd sit down just draw, just go for it. You can sit down and watch TV for 3 hours, or you can sit down and enhance a skill. It doesn't have to be drawing. It could be sewing. It could be whatever, and it doesn't mean you don't have to watch TV. You can put on TV while you do it. I often put on movies and just throw it on so there's just some sound. And then I get together with friends too. So like I have a lot of my buddies are artists and they draw and paint too. So we'll hang out and get together and have an art night. We'll all kind of draw together and just, shoot the shit.
You mentioned you did like a 2D technical drawing class there.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something that probably is going to make a lot of sense. I also took a technical drawing class, which for people that don't know, it's like you're literally drafting 3-dimensional shapes to the right size.
Make the cylinder.
Yeah, you have to like center your paper and then find the center, and it's like very technical. And I feel like this is going to be like, so like, no shit. I was awesome at understanding shapes in 3D. Like, I was I had trouble finding the center. Once I found the center and started working from there, I could run circles around people and getting the drawing done. But I got horrible grades because part of the grading was it had to be very clean and nice and pristine. And sometimes you're making little marks and for reference, you need to come back and erase them. And
Yeah.
so I killed it with understanding things in 3-dimensional space, but I was too messy.
Yeah.
And if you've been to the skate park, yep, that checks out.
On brand.
I feel like this is a common thing with people I talk to because everyone I talk to comes from action sports, and they just seem to be able to be, maybe not be better than people at stuff, but they seem to get proficient at things quicker than many people. What's the through line there?
I think the way certain people are just cut, and it's almost like, is it that they have some sort of they have some ADHD or something, or some hyper focus that something they're something how their brain is wired allows them that okay, I'm going to do this, and to do something repetitively over and over and over and over. And some people that's drudgery, right? But to learn a bike trick, I want to learn a bar spin. Okay, you have to learn it. You got to break down the elements. Here is each movement, and then you got to do it over and over and over. But not just doing it over and over, but falling and getting down and knocking, and getting up. And so there is part of it is how your brain is wired to just to work on something and focus intently, and being able to get in the zone, I think, is a big thing too. And try to explain what the zone is to people. Not everybody knows what the zone is, right? Some people have been to the zone, but it's can you stay in the zone? And I think certain people who are into action sports are able to sustain that, and the zone, a flow state kind of situation. And you can try to explain what it is, but when it just happens, right? And so I think that's part of it is the way your brain is wired to go into the flow state and be there and hyperfixate and just do that. But then also you have to be mentally tough, but physically tough too, to knock yourself down a set of stairs over and over and over and get up and do that again.
So my question is, does someone's time in action sports mold them, shape them to be the kind of person who can go into his other domains and be successful or be willing to try harder? Or is there a type of person that likes the battle, that does the action sports make you that person, or is the person that likes action sports happen to be the same person that's good at getting good at other stuff?
I think it's a bit of both, because you can have a little bit of everything, and some people are, because you always have that freak, right? That kid who just gets on a bike and he's "Whoa, I just did a bunny hop tail whip," but that's the same guy that would get on a baseball field and be able to hit the ball really far. Whatever they're going to do, they're just naturally athletic. Some people can kind of do that. Other people, I don't necessarily know, that they might not be the most skilled at it, but that drive, that determination. And I think the person that has the drive and the determination, I think that person might be more inclined to be able to transition from, okay, I'm not riding a bike anymore, but I'm going to take that same mindset and I'm going to apply it to carpentry. I'm going to apply that to, biology class or something like that. And I think that's just part of being athletic. It doesn't necessarily have to be, because I grew up wrestling, and that same drive that came from wrestling to just drill the move, right? And have that determination and that tenacity to do well. It just went right over into, bike riding. I'm well, I want to be good at this, so I'll try that. And I take that same mindset and just apply it to, hey, I want to be good at ham radio and I want to learn Morse code. I want to be good at drawing, so I'm just going to sit here every night for an hour. You want to get good at riding bikes, you go outside and you just manual in front of your house for 2 hours at night. That's how it works. So I think, at certain people, you have the both of those, the person who is tenacious and driven, right? And then you have the other guy who's just, they could be a natural freak and really good at it. They don't necessarily stick to it. Sometimes they do stick to it, So rambling.
No, that's all. That's good stuff, dude. So when was the last time you actually rode your a dirt jumper or anything at a skate park? Because it has been
Probably
a while.
here. Yeah.
I remember one time you came here.
There's been a couple times I grabbed the rental bike. I could grab the rental bike and I'll go air the quarter pipe and I can rip it, but
It's just not worth the risk for you anymore.
Not so much. After I broke my face and my wrist and stuff like that, I was kind of like, and it is just that, because like, if I get hurt right now and I can't go to work tomorrow, like that's it's not good. So I need that. But that's not to say that I'm not going to get hurt riding my bike in the woods and hit a tree, and like, again, it's still in there. It's just I'm smarter now, not smarter, but maybe more cautious. But we'll go to Timmy G's cabin and we'll bomb the hills down there, and I'm doing 50 miles an hour going down a hill wearing spandex and a MIPS helmet. Like that's no safer than trying to blast a quarter pipe.
Yeah, with the style of riding that I rode BMX, it's arguable that the way I rode mountain bikes for a while there was probably higher risk than the way I ride BMX, because I was going really, really, really hard.
Trucking, like pushing it.
Yeah, I was going ham.
Yes.
I don't ride that hard anymore. Well, that's because, just mountain biking for setting those imaginary trophies on Strava became my BMX. Rather than trying to film clips for a video, it was like, I'm trying to get the best time possible on this imaginary segment in the woods.
The Ripper.
Yeah, whatever it was. And it was like, I would love analyzing, okay, well, it starts at this point, it ends at that point, there's these 3 turns, there's that log, there's that rock. I need to navigate all these things with the highest proficiency possible. And just the fact that I rode rigid single speed meant I had to be even more deliberate with what I was doing.
Totally.
And yeah, I don't know if I'll ever ride like that anymore. Certainly not in the near future. But
it's like, I feel like there's like, there are like chapters in a book, right? And it's just like, I think, when you were riding, what did you do? 10,000 miles that one summer or something crazy?
No, my best was like 5,000 in a year. I did 1,200 miles in 1 month once, though.
Yeah. So, and I remember I was even riding a lot that summer too. I think my like, I had the odometer on there and mine died somewhere around like 1,500. So you rode a lot more, but we were riding a ton that summer. But it's like, like life happens and changes and stuff, but we still get out there, go to dirt church on Sunday morning.
Well, you don't have kids, so that's a different story. Like,
I got the dog, but the dog can come run the trail.
My daughter's great. It's honestly one of the best things that ever happened to me. It's just you will never be able to dedicate that level of whatever to anything really ever again. Maybe when your kids gets a bit older, you can kind of carve out that time.
For sure. But you were riding in the morning, you were riding at night, you were riding during the day.
I was just talking to my wife about it because we're talking about like how healthy I used to. I'm still really healthy, but like I used to always do minimum 12, but usually 14 hours fasting, and I would wake up and I would hammer mountain biking in a fasted state.
Yeah.
And like, just like I was,
And we're also very lucky to live so close to all those trails that you could just get out there and just, put down 20
and you're
miles.
Right, the trails are right there.
Yeah. Spoiled.
I think the skate park's closer to my house than the trails are to your house, but they're both very close.
Yeah.
They're both within a mile.
Yeah.
All right. That's all great stuff.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk a little bit about your whatever you call it, like antiquities photography stuff, because that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So you worked at the George Eastman House, which, as we said earlier, George Eastman was the founder of Kodak, the father of modern photography, or however you want to put that. And so what did you do when you worked at this museum here?
We taught, it was historic and alternative process workshops. And like, what does that mean? But you have 175 years of photo technology you can pick and choose from, right? And just because Kodak doesn't make a certain film anymore, or Canon doesn't make a certain camera anymore, doesn't mean photography stops. Photography is a natural thing that just happens, right? Stuff is sensitive to light. You can combine chemicals together and make something that makes a photograph. So my job was to learn these old processes and then teach them to people. And people would, as I said, travel from around the world to come and take these workshops. And we would go through the history of photography. We would teach people how to make daguerreotypes, ambrotypes and tintypes, gelatin dry plates. That's what Eastman founded the Eastman Kodak Company with. It was Eastman Dry Plate Company first, then it became Eastman Kodak Company, then it became Eastman Kodak, then just Kodak, now Kodak Alaris. But that's what it started with, was the gelatin dry plate. And then in between that, there's all these printing processes: salt prints, albumin prints, carbon prints, silver gelatin prints, collodion prints. So I learned all these processes, and then I would be really good at them. Just like, I'd say, okay, I got to spend time at work learning these things, perfecting them, but then designing a workshop. Like, okay, Monday you're going to come here, we're going to do A, B, C, and D. Then Tuesday we're going to do D, E, F, and then, so on. And you would come, and the workshops would vary from some days. Some of them would be 2 days, some of them would be a 5-day workshop. And it'd be like a 9 to 5, and you'd come in, we'd make stuff, and then, you'd go home and you'd have a stack of cool prints, and you learn a new process, and you could take that and add that to your sort of visual repertoire. And we would have all sorts of people. We would have people who were retired and had, time to kill and interest in history or photo. We would have artists who wanted to add something new, as I said, to their repertoire or their arsenal of things that they could do. We would get curators from museums or people like historians, people writing books, who wanted to understand how a process worked and why it worked, and maybe why an artist chose a certain thing. So it wasn't just, someone who wants to come and take a photo workshop because that's neat. They were people who were really interested in this stuff. Like, hey, I have a really deep appreciation for this. Or professors from colleges, people from other museums. We would have a group come from the Hermitage Museum. That's Russia's state museum. I had a guy from Nippon University in Japan, who would come every summer for a couple of years and take a week-long workshop with us. And he didn't speak English. He could understand very little English. He could understand more English than he could speak. But the cool part is photography is kind of universal. When you're making your stuff from scratch, silver gelatin is silver gelatin. Silver is silver in Japanese or English. I mean, there's probably a word for it, but silver nitrate, if I look at AgNO3, that's silver nitrate. This is that. And so I'd say 2 seconds. He'd say, okay, it's universal communication there. So when I would spend a week with a guy, and we'd barely kind of talk, but we would have conversations, through body language and just kind of understanding each other. It was fun. It was a good time. And that's what we did. We taught workshops there, and I did it for 10 years. And then I decided it was time to move on, and I got an opportunity to move over to RIT, and now I work over there. But it was a great time. I learned a lot. I have skill sets that I wouldn't have if I didn't do that. I have a strong photography background, but it was a different type of thing, and that before I moved up there, everything was digital, DSLR, stuff like that. And then, I switched, and a lot of stuff was just shooting 4x5 and, got back into shooting film. But I learned how to shoot on film cameras and things like that. So I came into it with an analog background, but then when I did this, I just went deep down the rabbit hole. And it was great. But then other parts of it, I think I really wrapped up a lot of like my personality and who I was in there. And when COVID happened, because that was kind of like, that was the decline, my boss retired, and he was my mentor, Mark, retired. And so it was like, it changed, and we didn't go back to teaching in person right away. And I was teaching online, and that wasn't very gratifying. And, I didn't want to just be the museum guy. And like, early on, I didn't want to just be like, oh, you're the action sports guy. And I'm like, that's cool. But yeah, but I do all this other photography too. And I have all these other cool ideas too. So I didn't necessarily want to just, pigeonhole myself into that. And that's how a lot of people saw me. And it's not a bad thing, but it just, like I said, I think I wrapped up a lot of who I was in that. And again, like I moved on, I had other things to say and other interests. And so I moved away from there, and I got to RIT, and, I'm it's been there for 3 years now. So it's figuring out who I am again.
So with all those, processes, you,
breaking stuff,
all those, forgotten or refound processes, all the dry plates and glass plates and all this stuff. Like, that sounds like a very not common thing to know.
No.
How many people in the world are there that have a knowledge about all of these different types of, historic and photography processes as you? Like, how small is this club you're in?
I mean, it depends. Like, like how niche. Like, I can do a lot, right? But I'm not the only person who does that. There are definitely a lot of people who. When I say a lot of people, it's not a huge club, but like.
We talking hundreds? We talking thousands? We talking tens of thousands?
I mean, there's probably
thousands
of people who can do this stuff.
All of that?
I mean, I can think of different people who can, but it depends. Like, you really starts to get very niche where, like, I can think of 100 photographers right now who do wet collodion, but they don't make daguerreotypes, right? They don't make dry plates. They don't make Lippmann plates, right? But they just make tintypes. I can think of people who make daguerreotypes, but they don't make tintypes. They don't make dry plates. I can do all of the things. And I don't necessarily incorporate all of that into my personal work, but if you put all the stuff in front of me right now and said, make a daguerreotype, I can make you a daguerreotype.
So if there was like a photography decathlon,
yeah,
and you got to do 10 different processes.
Got 'em.
How many people in the world is in that competition with you?
There's still a decent amount,
All right.
and
You're being modest.
Yeah, but but I know a lot of really cool artists and a lot of really cool people, and that was the best part of the job is to, because how do I say this? I like to be competitive, but I don't have an ego about it, right? If we're in the heat of the moment, I'll go full bore. We're sprinting up that hill, I'll go all the way to the end. But if you beat me, okay. If I win, nice job. And same thing with photography. I don't have an ego about it, so I don't want to be like, I'm the best guy in the world, and I know how to do all these things better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be that guy. And my favorite part about
I never said anything about being better than him. I'm just saying just know how to do it.
Know how to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite part about knowing how to do all that stuff was helping other people and giving other people that knowledge, because knowledge is useless if you don't share it. Just why not? Give it out there. And it's not mine. I didn't discover these things. I just got good at them, right? And I think my skill when I was teaching at the museum was to take these things that are complicated and make them easy, because not every person who is an artist has the technical brain, right? Why do you combine this chemical with that chemical? And I'm not the most technical person, and I'm not the most artistic person, but my Venn diagram is solid, where like I can go on either side. It's like, okay, I can be really, really, really technical, but I can be very creative and put a spin on something that someone who is just as technical might not be able to do. And then, I can be very creative, and the person who might be more creative than me might not be able to do that technical stuff. And I think that was my favorite part, is being able to take that complicated thing and make it easy for this person, or take that weird idea and make it more digestible for that technical person. So I don't know if there's a lot of people. I can, again, right off the top of my head, I can think of a handful of people, but it's rare to be able to do all of those things. Like my mentor, Mark, he can do all of those things, and he can do them well. And there's a lot of people who can do a lot of processes, and, they might not look technically the best, because that's a lot of things too. It's like some people, the best part about, or why a lot of people like those historic process things, is because everyone now is so used to digital cameras, right? And a digital camera is great. It's a tool, but it can be impersonal. Right? You put your card in your camera, you record it, the computer processes it, you stick it in a computer. You're never touching it. You're never there with it unless you make an inkjet print. And even that got spit out of a machine, right? That you put some paper in. And I think what people really like is having the film and brushing their chemistry on the paper and stuff like that. And so some people really enjoy that. And again, back to the really artistic person or the really technical person, you can make a technically beautiful print, but your picture could be boring. And then I know a lot of people who have a really interesting picture, but they don't make a technically great print. But then a lot of that stuff is subjective. So
I mean, bike riding is just like the same way. Well, at least BMX and skateboarding is like that. There are people who are technically great, but they're utterly unoriginal.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's impressive, but like you're just skating exactly like X because you can't think for yourself. And then there are riders out there who are not like technically gifted or technically good, but they will just ride a bike in a way that's like, wow, that's not quite like anyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, after all these years of BMX, there's still once in a while a rider comes along that just like, there's something about their body English, there's something about the tricks they select. We're like, wow, that's really just got a flavor to it that's just not, I haven't quite seen that before.
Yeah. I like the guys who just, you can do a million tricks and they're like a BMX, like a video game,
Yeah, yeah.
They can just do all that stuff, but then, the guy who just does a tabletop.
Oh, well, that's
just the style, that's the best.
Chase Hawk?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
He's been posting some clips lately. I've been commenting on him, and I never comment on anything on Facebook. On Instagram. But I've just been commenting like, this is art. Like, this BMX is art. Like, it's just like so simple and so beautiful and just so perfect.
Like a Mike Aiken.
Aiken was the best.
Chase Hawk, for sure. And they just...
Corey Walsh.
Yeah.
You're watching any of his stuff?
Uh-huh.
Oh, my God. Apparently, he dropped 2 new videos this week. I didn't watch them yet, but I'm sure they're phenomenal.
Yeah. No, it's cool. That's my favorite, though. But, that's neat.
All the other bike stuff is cool. But I don't know. There's something about the right dude on a BMX bike that just looks better than every other version of cycling.
I remember, like, way back, like, was it Vic Ala? Right?
Vic
and he did, is that Ayala?
Ayala?
Something like that.
The 4 peg.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay.
He didn't have any pegs. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. And he just did just crazy tabletops.
No, that's Vic Murphy.
Is that what I'm thinking about? Vic Murphy?
Vic Ayala was the New York City guy who was 4 pegs brakeless.
That's it.
Vic Murphy was the Dirt Brothers guy. Yeah, he'd do like the 1 foot table fast plant things. Yeah, that's a deep cut right there. My buddy Tom, who I mentioned earlier, who got me into riding, he had a Dirt Brothers frame when I first met him.
Sick.
Or like right after.
That's
I think he had a T1 barcode, then a Dirt Brothers frame.
Yeah. But that was like,
that's a deep cut right there.
Right? Sprocket stalls on everything.
Yeah, dude. Wow. I haven't heard that Dirt Brothers in so long. That's crazy. I mean, some of the slope style dirt bike, mountain bike stuff now, it's BMX-ish, but it's not.
That stuff's scary, man. And like, I don't know. That's terrifying.
Well, those jumps are so big, but the landings are so wide and so long. There is something about like Mike Aiken doing, a 360 1 foot dark side table to look back on a jump where the lip is only 2 feet wide, the landing's only like 6 feet wide, and it's steep as hell. And it's just like, not only are you like landing clean, like you're doing like the craziest trick, and it looks incredible.
And you're going into the next jump and doing another trick.
Oh my God, yeah.
Flow.
That's the best. Wow. Just thinking of all the best. I remember there was one video, I don't know if I can find this, Fit was doing this, like, they did this, they're doing all these, like, this is in the era where DVDs were falling out of favor and web edits were coming, and then companies were doing, like, they were putting out, short, free DVDs, or it'd be, like, a $5 DVD, and they do these, like, trips, and, like, so the companies were experimenting with different types of content, and the Fit team, I think they went to Australia, and there was a clip of Chase Hawk doing like a 360 table on this dirt jump, and like the Australian dirt, the jumps are kind of like orangey dirt, and he had a red frame, and he does like this 3 table, and there's like everything about it was just like the way like the green on the trees kind of contrasted with the orange. It was just like, oh, that clip.
That's
that
awesome.
Clip. Maybe I could find that clip, post it in here.
Yeah, we'll have to see it.
That's sick. So, when was the last time you took a picture of someone riding any bike related photo? Have you left that life totally behind? You ever see something and you're like, I want to shoot that?
I mean, like, no. I mean, like, now it's like if we're out riding, and it's like trail shots, and like I'll still do that stuff. Like, I like one of my favorite, again, not an action sports shots, but one of my favorite shots is like we went out on a ride and we did that. I had the swing lens camera, so I have one of those Russian cameras that the lens rotates so you can do these panoramics. And we were down in the gully by Tryon Park, heading out to the Browncroft, and you had your bike over your head. So it's a lot of that type of stuff where we're on trails and like oh, stop, this trail looks great. So yeah, I still do stop and take pictures. All last summer I was riding more. I rode a lot. I still rode a lot this summer, but like this summer I would say was more like fitness riding. Like I come home from work and then I'd go out and just like bang out 5 miles, between West Bay and Tryon real quick, and then go make dinner and do something else. Where I think I did a lot more adventure riding last summer. We went to the Catskills and rode a lot of new trails, like just like, hey, where are the trails? Okay, we got a map. Like, let's go. And I carried a point and shoot last summer, so I have a lot of like cool shots from that, just like while we're cruising, and hey, stop, let's get a picture of the bikes. So more kind of like lifestyle, not necessarily like the action shots. I couldn't even tell you, but probably like I'm sure at some point in the last year or so I've shot a photo of Tim Gabriel doing a wheelie somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the same as the processes like you were talking about, but I brought a Polaroid camera on my vacation this past May, and like you could take all the pictures you want on your iPhone, but like they're in my car still from the camping trip in May, and I have this stack of Polaroids. I go, there's my brother's friend Dylan holding the baby there, and especially because they're pictures of my baby, not even at that point in time, was she a year old yet? I don't know, math, just being like, I'll always have this in my hand, and I could, I could scan these in, and I could have them on Facebook if I want. But I have this stack,
the tangible object.
That reminded me, I had a stack of Polaroids that were up in my attic. Do you remember the Impossible Project?
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Polaroid stopped making film, and the Impossible Project, the people apparently they bought the last plant, and they're like, we're gonna figure this stuff out, and they were selling film, and it wasn't great, but they're like, we're
even
trying
the new Polaroid's not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
they're like,
cool.
it was expensive, but they're like, hey, every batch is different. We bought the machines. We're trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So I had all this Impossible film, and I still have some. It's old as hell. And but I had this stack of Impossible film, of all these Impossible film Polaroids from. I mean, it's before I had the skate park, so this stuff is going to be 10 years old. And I start looking through it the other day, and I'm like, oh, there's my freaking buddy Andrew who died. I'm like, shit, dude. Then I'm thinking I should reach out to his widowed wife and be like, hey, you want this photo?
Right. You could scan her and send her in a nice print too. And that's I'm going to be a print evangelist for a moment. And if anybody watches this, and if only one person listens to me, then it's it's a victory. Make your prints. And I've actually been thinking about this too, is I have, like you said, I go to my Instagram and there's 1,500 photos on there. I don't have any prints of any of those.
I went through all of them yesterday.
Hell yeah. I saw that you like the Sayreville skate park.
Yeah, I like the picture of yours from 12 years ago or 15 years ago.
But I have all the pictures of me when I was a little kid, right? And think about how many people are around our age, older or younger, right, within the past, not too far ahead, who have kids. I guarantee you 90% of them don't have any prints of their children.
Yep.
Right? That's scary, man. If your phone dies, I have iPhones that I lost, that all those pictures on there, gone. I have hard drives of photographs that are digital, shot with my nice cameras, not even my iPhone, gone, because the hard drive just goes away.
Yeah, dude, I lost all of my photos from my first digital camera, all the stuff when I was printed in the magazines, everything prior to maybe 2012.
Yeah.
All the stuff from when I was in college, gone.
So
all of it.
My suggestion, and even you, man, you got a baby, make prints of this stuff. Go to CVS, go to wherever they make prints, Walmart or wherever, Snapfish. Find a place that just makes prints and get your favorite 100 photos and send them out. Do that. If you don't want to do that, go to Blurb or wherever you can make those print on demand books, and just a lot of the companies, they'll have it so you can lay it out and you just drag and drop your pictures in. Just do that and just make a thing. Once a year, here's all my pictures from my phone. And I'm guilty, I haven't done it, and I've been meaning to do it. I don't have kids, but I got my dogs, and I love my dogs like I like my kids. And my one dog, Crimson, I have photos of her. I don't have any prints of her, that I consciously know of. And I'm like, I got to do this. I won't have my dog forever. So same thing,
I have that sticker of your dog in this workshop.
Chirp lives forever. And that's one of the things I like to do for Christmas every year, is I like to find a local artist that I like and commission them to do a piece of artwork of my pets for my wife. And I have lots of really great local Rochester artists, because again, I'm getting something that is sentimental to me that I'll be able to keep forever. I'm putting some money back into the art community. What I can pay for the commissions, I try to keep it fair with everybody, and it's depending on size and stuff like that. So I have some really cool stuff, and I figure maybe if I keep doing this for the next 30, 40 years, then when I'm ready to die, I'll just go over to the mag and be like, here's a collection of all these really cool Rochester artists.
That's cool.
Take it.
I have some prints in the foyer when you come in here of photos I've taken here, and I did the calendar this year, which didn't really sell well. I don't know. I thought I was like $10, something like that. Here's all these calendars, and I gave them away to everyone that had a photo. I'm like, here, take a free one.
Yeah.
And I told myself I was gonna shoot enough photos this year at the skate park that I'd have at least 12 good ones for this year's calendar. And since then, I've probably shot 2 photos. I love photo. I just don't ever have the freaking time for it.
It's time consuming for sure. And people don't think it is, but it's like taking the picture is one thing, but then editing it and backing it up, making your prints and things like that. It just takes time.
Like I said, I did like that bringing the Polaroid camping, because then it's like, wait, hold on, Polaroid, hold on, and you make like a moment out of it. I feel like with your phone, you're just like, you're kind of like pulling it out and like snapping real quick,
boom, boom, boom.
Versus like, oh, hold on,
yeah,
am I using this thing right?
And that's why I like the point and shoot cameras, because I'll take that with me and like I'll shoot a couple pictures here, I'll shoot a couple of pictures there, and that's what we grew up with, and a lot of people grew up with, but generations younger than us didn't necessarily grow up with, where you might have a Christmas and a birthday party and a Thanksgiving and another birthday party all in the same roll of film, and then you get this back and you're like, oh, look at this, and like Chirp, who you have that the sticker of, I have a picture of her at the beginning of the roll, and then she passed away, and then I have Crimson at the end of the roll, and it's like, oh man, and that's the sort of beauty and the fun of that. And like the Polaroid's the best, because it's just like instant. I have Polaroids from college, I have Polaroids from when I was a little kid, so it's just neat to have those tangible things. And it's more popular now because, again, like my cousin got super into photography, he's into records and things like that, but his first camera was an iPhone. That's where my first camera was, a digital camera.
That's crazy to think about. Most people's cameras now is just their cell phones. Wow.
And it's great. It's a great tool. It's a thing. I shoot a lot of pictures with my cell phone because it's just so easy to carry. Why am I going to carry this gigantic SLR? Dude. Yeah, absolutely.
The video on the iPhone or any of the modern phones is like really good.
Yeah, you just put a little depth lens on there, and that's all you need.
I'll tell you a funny photo thing. My wife's son, he's into trains or whatever, and he's a little flip phone, and he sent me some pictures this Saturday because he rode the little e-scooter thing I have down to the train yard, right? And like he's allowed to go down the train yard, he's just not allowed to go into the train yard, right? And he took a picture of this train, and I'm like, he's in the train yard. And then he told my wife, he's like, oh no, I just like zoomed in. And I'm like, no, buddy. I was like, you have like a $40 Walmart flip phone, and that photo is crisp.
Right?
It doesn't have an optical zoom. It has a digital zoom. Nah, bud.
Yeah. Technology did you in.
It's so good. I remember I got for this Nikon Z6 II, or I got that little pancake lens for it. I was so excited, and got me to go out and carry it around with me for a couple of days, and take some pictures. And I
did the same thing. I bought a pancake earlier this year to take hiking with me, and then I took it on one hike, and I was like, eh.
That's how it goes. Sometimes you just buy a lens just to get excited and shoot for a week, you know?
I'll probably use it for other things because, again, it's like it makes the camera so much more condensed. But like when I'm a lot of these hikes, they're doing a 7-mile hike, and I'm already carrying the radio gear and all the other crap, so it's like, every pound, every ounce counts at that point. So I'm like, I can take just as good a picture with my iPhone.
If for any camera nerds who are watching this, I'm currently filming on a Nikon D750 and a Nikon Z6 II, both of which have 50mm 1.8s.
Nice. And what was I going to say? I do bring the panoramic camera with me a lot. That's my favorite format, is that long panoramic shot. So that's, I'll hike with that too.
I like photos are so fun. It's just, I feel like if my life wasn't so hectic, I would do way more photos. For a minute I was taking pictures of trains, and that's real fun. You're just brainstorming a train spot. Sometimes you feel like you're going to be trespassing, and then you post up, and then you just stand there for like an hour and a half, and the train never comes, and you're like, I guess better luck next time. And I'm like, oh, this is why people like fishing, I guess.
It's just about being out there.
Yeah. Or I'd post up somewhere, the train would come, I'd get the photo, and then be like, really wasn't that good a composition.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Blew the timing. Shit. Because you could just cheat and go.
Right.
But instead, I'm like, no, I'm going to get the timing right.
The decisive moment.
Oh, Henry Cartier-Bresson.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
See, another one.
I went to did photo in college, so I did photo history and
Yeah.
once upon a time.
That's good
Once
stuff.
upon a time. All right. We'll do some rapid fire questions and call it a day. Let's keep this one a little bit short.
Sounds
I know this
good.
is late for you. You mentioned you did ride BMX. What was your first BMX bike?
A Dyno Air that
Dyno
I
Air.
found.
Mag wheels?
Yeah, I found it in like these. So somebody just ditched this bike in the woods, and I pulled it out of the woods, and I went and got a new chain, and got some better grips for it, put a new seat and tires on it, and I had a bike. And then eventually I had a K2 Parker frame. Right, it's like they had it at the bike shop. I was like, that looks cool. I want it. It's got Alex triple wall wheels and 14mm axles. I need that bike. But the Dyno Air was the first BMX bike.
What was your first camera or first real camera?
My first real camera and my first camera. My parents, I wanted an AE1. Is that one right there?
Yeah,
I wanted an AE1, but what's it called? My parents had like a Canon Elan 7, I believe, or it was an Elan 2, not the Elan 7, the Elan 2. And they had that, and I was like, I really want a camera for my birthday. So my parents like gave me their camera. They're like, you can have this, you can use it, like go nuts. And I still have it to this day.
All right.
Yeah.
Digital or analog? In general, not specific.
In general, it depends. If I'm taking pictures, analog. If I'm doing video, digital all day. Like making movies, digital is just way more convenient for sure.
Okay. What is the best riding spot you've ever ridden? Any discipline of riding?
I don't know. That's so hard. I've been to so many cool places. Like I've ridden all over the West Coast.
Or alternatively, if you could go back in time and get one more at any one location in time. So
like with the old crew and the whole
go back in
New
time.
York City, man.
You're going back to New York City?
For sure. Brooklyn
Yeah.
Banks, riding in there, grab a beer, maybe some food in Chinatown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of all the various photo processes you have done, what is your favorite?
The most unique and the coolest one is the Lippmann plate. I really like those when I can make it work right. It's a very finicky process. And like my general like workhorse like favorite process is the gelatin dry plate, which is essentially like film but on glass instead of flexible plastic.
So is that, I guess it's almost two different questions. I guess one question would be, which process gives you your favorite result? And one question would be, which one is like during the act of physically doing the process? Like, which is your favorite to do? Which one did you just answer one, or was it some mix?
No, they're kind of, again, it'd probably be a mix. Like, cause like, again, the Lippmann plate is the coolest process. It's the only naturally occurring color photo process. And when you look at the plate, if you go to my website, you can see the Lippmann plates, and make sure you watch the video. Because if you just look at a digital like reproduction of it to like show you, like, here's the color on the plate, it looks the crazy colors and the compositions are cool, but you're like, what am I looking at? But if you don't look at it at the right angle, you don't see the color. Think of it like a puddle in a parking lot, right? There's no color in that puddle, right? But there's oil on top of the surface, and the oil's breaking apart the white light, and when it comes back through, you get these colors, right? And that's what's happening on the surface of this plate. You're getting a surface reflection, and you're seeing the white light break apart into its individual wavelengths of light, depending on how far apart the silver particles are suspended in the gelatin. That's really dense explanation, but just think of it like it scatters the light, and you only get the picture when you see it at the right angle. That's the coolest result.
What is that process
it's
like?
Called what do you mean? It's very similar to the dry plate process. It's a gelatin emulsion, so that means your light sensitive chemistry suspended on gelatin and coated on glass and allowed to dry. But it works because the silver particles are so teeny tiny. If you're watching this, imagine a normal piece of film, your silver grain is this big, like the size of my fist. And then in, what's it called? I'm going to pull the screw out for dramatic effect here. right? The silver grain from my Lippmann plate is the size of like the tip of that screw, right? So my
Oh,
normal
wow.
grain, and because it's so fine grain and it's so tiny, it allows this effect to happen where you record a standing wave. You're not recording a normal photograph. You record the amount of light from a scene, right? It records all the light in that scene and says, okay, that was the amount of light that was there. This, you're recording a standing wave. So the light passes through the plate because it's crystal clear, right? And then it bounces back because this is too dense, Nick. You're going too deep.
No, I'm loving it.
The reflectance value of where air and gelatin meet causes the light to go back, right? So it goes back and it crosses over itself and it's half a wave out of phase. If both waves were in phase, they'd be moving at the same spot. But now they're moving out of phase with one another, right? So you have double the amount of energy in the peaks and no energy in the valley. And red light is longer, it's a wider wave than blue light. Blue light is going to be a tiny wave like this, red's going to be big. So the red particles are spread out this far, the green ones are spread out this far, and the blue ones are spread out this far. So when the white light hits it, where it hits the red, all the other lights, all the other colors are canceling out, and only red light is coming back to your eye. Where it hits blue, blue light's coming back to your eye and it's canceling out the other wavelengths of light. So in essence, it's kind of like a hologram. A hologram, you use a laser, right? You shoot a laser at a plate and it bounces off the object and comes back through. And a laser is a concentrated light source of a single wave. So it's just 690 nanometers, red light. But if you shoot that through there, it records that laser light where it's crossing over itself. So it works the same. And it's funny because people buy commercial holographic plates to make Lippmann images. And I said, wait a second, if I can do that, I could go the other direction. I make Lippmann plates. I should be able to make a hologram. And my friend gave me a laser and I made holograms in my basement for fun. I was like, yeah, I can do it.
That was freaking awesome. It might have been technical and weird for other people, but that was just incredible.
And I'm trying to keep it like as surface level as I can because it can be super dense. But that's the coolest. That's the coolest result when you get this thing, this real color photograph. It's just insane. And shout out to my friend John Hilty because you were asking like who in the world does these things. You know, the two guys that I know, that's the guy Felipe Alvarez, he's a Portuguese fella, and then my buddy John Hilty, and he's like, if you guys think I'm like a mad scientist, you take this dude, he goes to like the next level. Like, you know, he's super smart, and he's been doing a ton of stuff. He's making autochromes. He's like the only person in modern times that's making autochromes. He's on Instagram, Dreamer or something like that. But John Hilty, if you look him up, he does a lot of really cool stuff. It's worth checking out what he's working on. But we share a lot of information back and forth, and he's helped me out a lot, and I've helped him a little bit with doing these things. But yes, back to your original question, my favorite result is the Lippmann plate, and my favorite process to just use as like a general process, like enjoying the act of doing the thing, it would be the dry plate because I like shooting with the large format camera, you know, and setting up the shots and stuff like that. But also my little swing lens camera. I love it because I can just throw it in my backpack and it's always there with me. So, long answer.
That was great. I loved every second of that. If anyone was doubting the mad scientist aspect of it, you totally nailed it right there. I hope my buddy Rich listens to this because I think that would have really fascinated him. Wow. Next question. What is the two sides to this? Favorite riding photo that you've taken and of like that you've ever seen, if there's one that sticks out?
Favorite riding photo, I don't know who it is, but it's a guy doing a bunny hop table. I think that's like the best, like one of my favorite like BMX shots ever. Just like, but it's like he's just on the ground, boom, like that. And then I don't know, I've shot a lot of really fun, you know, images. Probably like the first cover shot, my buddy Adam Houck at Highland Mountain Bike Park. They had this, like, if you've ever been there or if you've ever seen footage, they had this big like you know, cedar planks. They made this big like wall, like it's not vert, but like, you know, kind of set back real steep with a dirt, you know, transition. So you ride through this rhythm section and then you go up, you know, and you could kind of ride on the wall, kind of like your after the resi ramp over here, you kind of have that wall that's set back a little
cheater
bit.
wall kind of
Yeah,
thing,
so
yeah.
you can ride up it and that, but if you really boost it, you can air it. So he would just over the top, you know, and like hang his back tire over it. And we set up a bunch of flashes in the trees, and then we set up one flash down on the ground, and then I like hung over the edge with a fisheye lens and, you know, got him like right up in my face, like hanging his tire over the wall. It was a neat shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That one, or same guy in his backyard, he called it the back gnar. And his dad was a mechanic, and they used their backyard it was an auto garage. And he had a trailer, like a tractor trailer just full of stuff. And whatever happened with his parents, his dad wasn't there, and there was it's like just wood and stuff. So Adam built a little ramp. He built another ramp, but these are like, you know, like ghetto ramps. Like we're just piling up plywood and kind of zipping stuff together, and then another ramp, and then another ramp, and then then a legit quarter. Next thing you know, we had a whole like wall against the side of the, you know, the trailer, and you could air up over the trailer and back in, and then, you know, there was like we called it the back gnar. If you go to my Vimeo, there's definitely some footage on there, and I got Adam on. I'm next to the trailer, right, and he's airing over it, doing a toboggan, and then we had this guy named Kevin. We called him the Dreadlock Wizard, he was a really good skater, and he's like next to the trailer, like looking up at him, like, you know, it was really cool.
All right.
And I got that one printed as a double page spread in the Decline at one point. That was a cool shot. So those are some of the first ones that come to my mind.
Awesome. Over the years, you've had plenty of bikes. What was your favorite bike?
Oh man, I had a 24-inch Tonic Fab that was really cool. I had the Black Market Mob. I had an original Mob, American-made one. That one was awesome. I really liked that one. The Brooklyn Machine Works, I had one of those. That was really cool, like the 24-inch Brooklyn Machine Works frame. But honestly, like, I think my Stash is the coolest bike I've had. It's just like, it's so perfect. Like coming from like
It's a little bit of everything.
yeah, coming from a dirt bike, you know, freestyle world like that, dirt jumping freestyle world, and then, you know, enjoying trail riding. Like it's enough to get sendy, but you can monster truck in it. And I've ridden, you know, we both ridden trail, like, you know, people ride these things with full suspensions, and we're just like, "Mah!"
Yeah. Well, no doubt you've owned far more cameras than bikes. Favorite camera?
Favorite camera. I have different ones that for different reasons. I have ones that are very sentimental to me. Like I have a Leica M3 with the double stroke and like the little goggles. I always wanted a Leica camera because like they're just cool. They have the Leica mystique. And my in-laws bought a house in the Catskills years ago, and like part of the thing was they got everything that was in the house. And the guy who owned the house before them was a doctor. And they opened the drawer, and they sent me a picture of the drawer and the two leather cases, and there's Leica has this distinct L, and I'm like, yeah. Oh my god! And they brought it home, and they're like, "Is this a good camera?" I'm like, "Oh my god, this is freaking sick!" That one's really cool. I have a Voigtlander Bessa R that I bought. What's it called? My grandma helped me buy it. I think it was like $500, and I had saved like $250, and then she gave me the other $250 to buy it, and I sold it to a friend in college, and he had it for years. And then I was like, "Yo, do you still have that?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." And I was like, "Can I buy it back from you?" And he's just like, "Don't worry about it," and just sent it back to me. So I still have that one. I have you gave me the speed graphic, right? But I had another one that was my friend gave to me who passed away. So I have one of those.
Was that the 4x5?
Yeah, the 4x5. And then I love I have a Shenhao, so it's like a 4x5 field camera. That's like my baby. You know, I my workhorse though too. I've made, you know, tons of pictures.
Is that what you took pictures of my wife and I with?
Yeah, that was the Shenhao. That one's really cool.
Good
tons
camera.
of movements, lots of control. Love it.
All right. Throughout this hour and a half conversation, you have listed quite a few hobbies.
Yeah, it helps not having kids.
Can I get the 2025 Nick Brandreth hobbies power rankings?
Power rankings? So top of the crop right now is ham radio.
Ham radio, number one. Coming in number one, ham radio.
For sure. That's number one. And then like a close second to that for this year has been like hiking again. I just got like, because the radio stuff kind of I've always loved to hike, but it like reignited a passion for that because I do this. It's called Summits on the Air. So if you hike the mountain and you make 4 contacts on the mountain, you get points. So think of it like Pokemon Go and Strava combined, right? Like Pokemon Go, because like I'm hunting these old retired guys, in their house somewhere who's like listening for my call. So they're looking for me, trying to get the person. But then it's like Strava because it's gamified. If you do this peak that's higher and harder to get to than this peak over here, this one's worth 10 points, that one's worth 3 points. So you get points.
So you're hiking to high destinations, setting up your radio, trying to connect with other nerds with radios.
Exactly. In Morse code.
In Morse code.
In Morse code. I taught myself Morse code.
Wow.
So yeah, ham radio, power ranking, ham radio. What was I going to say?
Then hiking.
Okay.
Okay.
What have I been doing this year? And then watercolor painting. I did a bunch of watercolors this year.
Those are all above biking?
What's that?
Those are all above biking?
Biking's just like, that's like part of me. You know
it's not
that's
even
not
a hobby. It's
That's
my
just
life.
like, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Biking's my family.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Like biking just supersedes everything,
Okay.
I got 3 more or 2 more. So ham
2
radio,
more.
hiking,
Watercolors.
I haven't done as much pistol shooting this year, so we'll put that down at like number 5. I only shot a little bit of pistols this year. I'm going to shoot a match next month. And then number 4, what would be number 4? Hanging out with my dog. Cursing.
It's fine.
I could spend all day with my dog. That's it. So we hike, but again, they all kind of go together. She hikes with me,
I know many people might hear this. Maybe they won't hear this, but my first instinct when someone says their dog is their hobby is like F you. But like your dog is totally different. You put in the time. Your dog is very well trained.
Yeah.
Well behaved. You could go mountain bike with your dog. Like that's a hobby.
Yeah. If you come and say hi to her initially, you come to the house, she'll be like, oh God, you're here, because she's so pumped. And she knows when my friends show up, like if you showed up at my house, she'd be like, oh, you bike ride, like let's go. My friend Charles shows up, she's like, whoa, we're gonna go hike and do something fun. But if we're in the woods and there's a deer right in front of us, she won't chase after those deer. When we went hiking last weekend, like I can see other hikers down the trail. She stops, she looks at me, she comes back and gets on the leash. So like she's well behaved where she needs to be well behaved. But like you said, putting in the time and the effort. Like I do enjoy dog training. That's something my wife really does. We foster dogs. So if anybody needs to, they want to adopt a weird little Dachshund kind of thing, get at me, because we got a dog we're trying to get adopted.
Just like all your hobbies, like you do it. Like when you got that dog, I didn't see you for a while. You're like, oh, I'm training my dog. And again, most people would say that, and I'm like rolling my eyes. But like, I saw you with the dog. I saw the practices you're implementing. I'm like, you were doing it. Because dogs are funny. Dogs are like the thing where everyone says when they want to get a dog, they think of like the perfect, well-behaved, well-trained dog, right? But most people don't want to put in the time to make that dog. So like they don't get that dog.
Yeah, no, it pays
like,
dividends.
You put in the work, and every dog you've had have been. It's probably the best dogs I've ever been around. Frankly,
they're great, and I love it. But again, you gotta do it. You have to.
Work, yeah.
You have to. You can't just the computer doesn't run the program. You gotta write the code.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for you? What is your power?
Power rank your hobbies or powering mine?
Yours.
I don't have hobbies. I work, dude. I play disc golf once a week now, and I still run the Tuesday Doubles League or co-run it for the club. And presuming I don't have summer camp, I might get one other casual round. So like disc golf is still pretty high for me. I've been riding more BMX than I have in the past years.
The skate park reviews are super fun. I like seeing you going there.
I wouldn't say my social media is a hobby. Because it's.
Well, I imagine what you're doing though is you're riding the skate parks a little bit. No, just
not really
judging.
Did I get out of the car? I look around. I film it. I get back in my car. I leave because I'm usually filming those while I'm doing other side work.
Yeah.
Although when I was in Ohio, I did ride. Well, I didn't ride the 2 I went to. I reviewed because they were terrible. Actually, the one I posted today in Willoughby, I did ride that mini ramp. The mini ramp was pretty sick.
Yeah.
So I've been riding a little more BMX. I still try to get my mountain bike out once a week. I've actually been really big into walking in the last couple of years because that's something I can do with my daughter, whether it be in the backpack carrier for the baby or like we walked. I pushed her 4.5 miles in the jogger this morning.
And it's fun, like slowing down a little bit. Like when you ride your bike, everything's so fast. And
Yes,
then, like
true.
to like go and hike the same trail, like you're like, wow, I never noticed this. Look at this mushroom. This is cool.
It's tough though. Like I work. I'm grinding so hard. Like I said in the last episode, I'm fairly certain I'm gonna close the skate park in March of 2027. So I now have like a 1 year, 9 months kind of thing, and like this lifestyle is exhausting, and it's stressing me out, and it's really stressing out my wife. And I just keep telling her, like, I'm grinding to save the business, or I'm grinding to the finish line, one or the other, and either way,
For sure. I mean, but you've done so much for like the community and the culture and the lifestyle around here,
And honestly, to some degree, I could possibly have a greater effect on the broader community without the skate park.
Yeah.
Because this is still keeping me in the vein of just like, I have to get enough people here to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right? My goal is to keep doing the social media stuff and the podcast when the skate park's closed, or downsize to a smaller skate park. I'll be running a bike shop. I might do more of a media company because, like, I literally want to be the person that saves action sports. Because I've been saying for years that, like, they're dying. And then finally I was like, wait, why am I going to sit around and be like, who's going to save them? Like, I'm going to save them.
Call to action.
Like, I'm going to be that guy in the videos. Like, that's why I'm bringing back the Make America Skate Again thing. I got shirts coming.
Nice.
And I'm going to co-opt that. I don't care if anyone thinks it's dumb, but we're going to make America skate again. I don't even skate. I do skate, but I'm a biker. But we're going to make America skate again because, like, someone has to.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So
if you build it, they will come.
I did build it. They stopped coming, dude. All the kids are on their freaking cell.
I did build it.
There's something there. There's my, like, viral video. Something clicked there. If you build it, they will come, but they stopped coming because they're on their phones. There's something that's going to churn back there for a couple days.
Keep it.
And then you're going to see a video and be like, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
there
nice.
it is. That's actually the funnest part about the videos is, like, I'm a problem solver. I like complex systems. I like trying to figure out stuff. And trying to put out as much content as I'm putting out and make it not, like, too repetitive and not too boring and not too, like, clickbaity and stupid is fun because I'm literally everything I'm doing, I'm running a secondary program in my head that's like, is this a video? Where's the video? What can I do a video of? And like some days I just film a video that's been in the queue. Some days something just pops up in front of me and I just do it. And it's really funny because sometimes I'll have an idea for a video and then I finally do it and it's a dud. And I'm like, what the hell? I've been sitting on that one for months.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like the one at Tykes on Bikes this past weekend, you could even tell in the video I'm not really like enunciating. It was like early in the morning. I was tired. I didn't sleep really well. And I was like, oh yeah, no kids ride anymore. Oh my God. And then like that video did pretty good, like 7,000 views.
Yeah.
So like, it's funny the way it works.
The spontaneity is sometimes the thing.
Like my toilet, remember the toilet video?
That was great.
Dude, everyone loved the toilet video. I got a piece in the mail to fix another toilet today. So tomorrow there's going to be another toilet video.
We're back.
So, we're back. Yeah. And speaking of toilets, next week on the show, we got Nick Parlett coming back at Plumbing Skater, who was on an early show, who gave me the framework of do the videos. Eventually, you're going to make money. I'm not making money yet, but he did make money off me because he had to come snake my drain in my basement. So, but yeah, back-to-back Nicks we'll have on the show. Nick Parlett, Nick Brandreth. So Nick Brandreth, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
This just felt like a bike ride where we actually got to talk a little bit more.
Right.
I feel like now we should be like, all right, you want to...
Should we go? Night ride.
That was awesome. You have a lot to offer. Tell the people where they can follow your stuff, website,
So
Instagram,
my
whatever.
website is just Nick Brandreth. My Instagram is @Nick Brandreth, and my YouTube is something Nick Brandreth again. And like, if you go to my website, there's links to both. If you're interested in any of the things that I talked about tonight, whether it's photography, or drawing and painting, riding bikes, ham radio, hit me up. Like I said, I like to share the things that I'm passionate about and share the knowledge. And I like to gain knowledge from other people because, I'm not, I'm a clever guy, but I don't know everything. And I'm always eager to learn and meet new people and understand the way other people think and approach things because why not?
And I look forward to having hobbies one day when I don't have a skate park and a bike shop and a social media company to run and a 1-year-old daughter and a disc golf league and a bike share company on the side.
Yeah. You're an animal.
Well, thank you we got Carl Satan in the chat. He said great photography. Thank you for
Carl
our
Satan. I like it.
thank you for all our viewers. Thanks for all of our listeners. You know the deal. Share the video. Talk about the video. Grab us on Patreon if you want to support the channel. The best thing you can do to help my content is to comment on it as soon as you see it. Comment anything. Interact with the clowns. My understanding is, and maybe next week we'll have more clarity from Nick because he's making a lot of money on social media, that the velocity of comments is really what pushes you up in the algorithm. So whenever I post, just comment some bullshit, whatever it is. Tell me a story, one sentence at a time, one post at a time, or whatever, you know. And some of my best stuff is the rage bait, you know.
I want to know what people's power ranking for their hobbies are.
What
are you guys doing?
That'd be good. Comment that. So thank you for watching, Nick. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone.